Oh, it even says it's live.
We are up live, everybody. It looks like we're here. So,
Hello.
hello. We want to welcome anyone who's going to be here, and please share and like. We have such great things to come. It looks like Christina is here. We want to pop her up here. Thank you so much
Oh,
for
yep.
popping in here. And
My daughter-in-law.
oh, great! We love family support. Thank you so much. Well, Darcy, let's start to jump right into this.
Okay.
Tonight's adventure is all about talking about how when we know who we are, when we figure out this divine purpose, when we start to leave some of the story that we had a long time ago, some of those beliefs, the amazing things that can happen. So, Darcy, can you share with us some of what you experienced a while back and how you've come to where you are here at this point?
So I've been on this earth for a long time. So let me just start off with that. I'm a baby boomer, and so I have decades of experience and generational information and societal expectations under my belt, if you will. So when I was a child in the, I guess it was close to 1970, I experienced a childhood trauma, which has been with me the entire time for the next 5 decades. And
Wow.
so, yeah. And with that, since it happened at such a young age, it sort of imprints on you. And since you're not aware of how to process it or who to go to share it, you internalize it. And it becomes part of who you are when it shouldn't have been. So whatever God was intending for you to accomplish is now blocked by what you have experienced. And with it, it's something that just initially it's something that's in your face. And as time goes on, experiences layer over it like an onion. So you have layers of onion going around it and going around it because you are integrating with society again and the expectations. But it comes to a point, and all the decisions that you're making is based on that core limiting belief. So it's, again, not necessarily what God intended for you to accomplish. So coming to the realization that I continue to mature, I knew that something was off. I couldn't put my finger on it as to why it was off, but I never felt in sync with what was going on. And so, going through my 20s and my 30s, I did everything that I thought I was supposed to do. And that was not necessarily what I should have done. None of it was wrong, but none of it was right either.
Okay,
So,
so you felt a sense of this is the best I have from where I am, but something is still off. So it sent you on a
mhm.
journey, so to speak, something to find and figure out. So in this figuring out, did you ask questions, and who did you ask the questions of?
Well, that was the thing. As different things occurred in my life, the expectations from the 60s and 70s is whatever happens in your house stays in your house. You don't discuss it with anybody. And as you continue to age, you carry those beliefs from your parents, which is nothing is wrong. My parents grew up in the 20s. So they had their own rules, and then they integrated into the 60s when I was born. And so you're also looking at, in my situation, is that my mother was Japanese and had her expectations to live by, full-blood Japanese. My dad was Caucasian, and so he had his expectations to live by, and they wanted to do the best by me and my sisters and my brother. And so my dad's best for us girls was to see us get married and be taken care of. And so we take that and we move along. But I'm aging into the 80s where things are, in the late 70s, women's lib came around, things became more relaxed for women and more opportunities, so to speak. And so we continue with that thought process, and everything I did, I masked to what I was doing. And so there was really no one to talk to. It was just something that I kept internalized. I would try to step out and try to actualize some of it, and then I was pushed back, or I allowed myself to be pushed back.
And in that part where you're allowing the pushback to happen, I'm sure there's some type of reset, but is it resetting to a healthy place, or is it resetting back to those, beliefs that
Learned
you have?
behaviors. Yeah.
Yeah. And so the question then becomes, like with anyone who I help and serve, when we have been in bad relationships or unhealthy relationships, when we have formulated or gotten used to what is unhealthy, but it's still comfortable because that's what we know, there
Right.
is a big step to acknowledge that. And I find many of the people, they start to acknowledge it. Like, I know this is unhealthy. I know this isn't right. And then the big but comes in, right? But it's all I can do. This is what I'm used to. Maybe if I can just endure it more. And in your experience, what punched through for you that started some change?
The feeling of being off increased, and there's my boyfriend. The feeling of being off became more intense and almost always in my face. And then we came to the point where my mother passed away. And so, yeah. And so sitting there and seeing part of how she lived because of how she grew up, and the fact that she missed my dad so much, she self-isolated and just stopped participating in life. And, it wasn't a conscious thing. It was a gradual kind of roll into what she did. And everything that I did from, when I was 10, I just went along with the process. Whatever was easiest. If there was an obstacle, I went in a different direction. So now I'm facing my mother's death, and I'm looking at it and thinking, okay, now, I was 2008. I think I was 48 when she passed. So at 48, I'm going, am I going to live the rest of my life? And I plan to live to 100. So am I going to live the rest of my life like this? Am I just going to take the easy route knowing that something is not right? Or am I going to find out who I truly am and shed this imposter? And some of my values are my own, but I don't know which ones, and how do I validate? And so it's finding who I am, what is truly mine to own, versus what did my parents give me? What did society give me? So I need to find out who I really am. So then I have that foundation. Or I continue on as I did and follow, not that it's bad that my mother chose that, but follow in her footsteps per se, to continue just to be pushed around.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what made the decision that you were no longer going to be pushed around by these other beliefs and all of that kind of stuff? What ended it for you?
Actually sitting and praying and meditating and knowing that, there was something that I was supposed to be doing with my life. With all the experiences that I had up to that point, there was something that I needed to do to help other people. And so I did make changes, and they were hard earned. Because you're looking at decades of programming. I would take a step and it was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? And then I would retreat, and then I would start over again. So it was a very long process, a lot of experience learned, but I knew that there were so many people like me, especially the baby boomer era women. Some have the same conditioning, if you will. They are in a position where they have taken their parents' values, society's values, and they're happy where they're at. And they may have been actualized, but there's others who are saying something's off, but they're not ready to make that step of saying, well, I need to figure out what that is.
Okay.
So, but yeah, it's the connection with Creator.
I love that. And in that, where you found that there is something beyond yourself, as you call him, the Creator. I love the word Creator, because all things to be created, that means something. There's action there. It means there is love there. That means there's a plan as well. And when you're discovering that, like the onion that was built up around you, as things start to peel out and get more and more revealed, I'm sure that was this is the sign for vulnerable, right? Because you're just you're bearing it all, right?
Right.
And that vulnerability really becomes the most amazing blessing and the most freaky, fearful thing in the world. And it is empowering both ways when you can become fully aware, like, wow, I have stepped into this and I am in that learning area. And I call it the learning zone. It is a true zone where you are going to learn, you're going to fall down, you're going to fail, you're going to win, you're going to have, it's all going to be happening. And I love how you said it was a journey and it was a process, because I know for myself, especially when I help a lot of people, they kind of want the checklist. Like, okay, I made the exit plan, I got out, I'm safe now. What's next? And it's like, okay, the healing journey. All right, checkbox. No,
Yeah.
it's a little layered more than that. And if you like
Mhm.
the concept of onions, let's do that. If you don't, and you're like Shrek and the donkey, you want to think about cake with lots of layers, that's fine. But we've got some things to go through. And it
Right.
looks like this is universal. It doesn't matter the event, the trauma, the the action that happened. The process of healing takes time. And that is a
Absolutely.
huge key. That's just amazing and a huge key. So with this, I'm assuming in your book, you want to hold your book up there. And what is your book called?
Who is that in the mirror?
Oh, awesome. Who is that in the mirror? How many of you have asked that? Who is that? Who am I? As you're staring back at yourself. I know sometimes you might feel like negativity is just, you're not this enough, you're not that enough. Eyes are too droopy, wrinkles, whatever. Let's just clear that for a minute. Let's look at the deeper soul. Who am I? So, Darcy, how did you start to answer those questions?
It was peeling one, understanding the journey of getting here, understanding my parents' journey, why they made the choices that they did, and how I came into that place, and filtering out what was not mine to own, and figuring out what was mine and what I was going to embrace, and not allowing other people's opinions, or in this case, disapproval, to stop me from doing what I knew was right within my heart space. And that is something that everything that I do most of the time is, if I bring it into my heart space, then it resonates as true, and there's this warmth that flows over. It's the connection again to creator. And so if it doesn't resonate within my heart space, then something is off, and I need to step back and take a look at it and say, okay, so what is wrong with this? And that's when the meditation comes in.
So in that process of meditating, what does that look like? How does one start if someone was in need of getting in that connection with their creator? What are some things that you talk about, and are some of those processes within your book?
Meditation as a whole, as a general term, there's so many different
Okay,
ways to meditate.
you're right.
Walking into the forest. My favorite place is the ocean. Is that ebb and flow of energy. So those are simple things that you can do in an instant. But a focus meditation where you're looking for answers, the way that I believe is that I pray for guidance, and then I meditate for what the answer is supposed to be. And so that is, the ideas come, and you just sit and you open yourself up figuratively, and wait for the information to flow in from the divine. So there's that kind of focus meditation. There's also the setting of intention type of meditation, where this is what I want my future to look like. And some of what happened within my book is actually a intention setting, and it happened so fast it scared me, and then I started backpedaling. So
Interesting. So even the intentions that you actually wanted to see, they're like, here they are, and you're like, well, I didn't really mean to really have it happen, and then you backpedal. That's really fascinating.
it
Because
was
the
it was
very
like,
thing you asked, you received, and then it was like, ah, and that's
yeah.
really interesting. So
And
how did
that's
you start to embrace it as opposed to run from it? What did you do?
That was where the core belief from when I was a child happened. And so I was asking for something and expecting it to happen, and Creator allowed it to happen. And then my core limiting belief is saying, what are you doing? You can't do that. And then it caused me to retreat for several months. And then it came back to sitting and going and, praying and saying, I'm not happy. Everything is off, very, very off, instead of just being a little off. And then it's opening up to Creator again and saying, what am I supposed to do? And then the message comes through, and then we proceeded to make our next step, which was more experience, both positive and not positive. But those are learning moments that I personally believe that you tuck into your purpose bank. Because those experiences help you relate to other people.
That is so true. And in that relationship, we're all interconnected because there's one race, and it is the human race. And how we connect together truly allows for real love, real peace, and the concept of harmony to happen. It doesn't mean trials are like eliminated, but it means within the trial, within the hard time, you have a connection there with someone that can support, that can sit with. And it's the depth of empathy that really comes to pass in such a way that it is life-giving. And that is so powerful. Darcy, this is going to be a fantastic thing. Hold that book up again. I want to make sure that everybody knows that, say the title again.
Who is that in the mirror?
Who is that in the mirror?
And then if you look at,
go ahead.
So we're either the kitten, I'm not sure where I'm touching. So we're either the cat, and we're in actuality, we're the lion, but our reflection, when we look at ourselves, we only see the cat. We don't see the power within us. And the reverse is true, is that as we're standing here as the cat, inside of us, but we're projecting that lion, that power, but none of it is meshed together. It's still, we're off. And so somehow the reflection has to transform to be lion and lion. So we know we have the power within us, and that we move forward in that vein, in that essence of who we really are.
I love it. There's so many people commenting with hearts, likes, loves. This is me. And I love that connection. There's so many of us that have been upon some type of a journey. We've had experiences within the past, and really, how are we going to shape our future? And looking into a book like yours, I feel like so many wonderful things can actually take place. And so to invest in something, I dare say, as simple as a book, and through those words, you will find connection to what Miss Darcy and her incredible experience has been. And through that connection, there's probably going to even be times where you can reach out to her and she can give you more in coaching and in other kinds of supports. So it starts with this book. It starts with the story. And as humans, we connect to story. We always have. We love to know what starts things, what's the middle, and is it going to have an amazing ending? And sometimes when our endings are cut short, like with your mom and with this death, we need to keep seeking out of what could possibly be another chapter. Obviously, her chapter has closed, but has it really closed forever? Is there a point where I could possibly carry on legacy? I could maybe even improve and increase and maybe become the person that she might have always seen, but because of habit, culture, was never able to possibly express or guide me to. And that's why this story is really never ending, because there's just so much to give. Darcy, this is an amazing thing. And I hope everybody takes a look and understands the power that is within her book. So, Darcy, is there anything you would like? You're welcome. Is there anything you'd like to share with the audience as we start to wrap things up?
I think what I'd like to share is that by exploring my parents' history as much as I know, and talking with my sisters. So basically, my sisters and I are what I consider orphans, even though we're of the older generation. We are the matriarchs of our families. And so knowing my parents' history and their belief system, I've incorporated it into me. So while I did lose my mother physically and I lost my father physically, they are still a part of me because I carry the values that are meaningful to me within myself and express them the same way. So I think that for people who are struggling with, imposter syndrome, if you want to go to that route, or are unsure that they're so caught up in being who society says they have to be. And so my heart goes towards single moms at this moment in time. Well, always with single moms. And so we're so caught up in caretaking because I am raising my 2 grandchildren. We're so caught up in caretaking that we always put ourselves on the back burner. And that's so wrong because they are taking from us the wisdom that we have. And if we don't fill our well up and allow and honor ourselves, then we're going to be depleted, and that is going to make the relationship not as strong as it should be. So I would encourage everybody who is feeling off is to sit back and take a look at who they are and see if everything that their belief system is really their own. And if it is, that's great. You pull it into your heart space and you own it. But if there's a facet of you that is dim or is cracked, maybe it's time to take a look at it, clean it up, fix it, or remove it, depending on how you're going to continue on. And I'll be the first one to tell you, it's not an easy journey because these beliefs have lived within you for however old you are. And for me, it was 5 decades. And it's a rough journey, but it's so worthwhile. So.
I love that. That gives us such hope. And with any kind of hope, there is always going to be life. There's light. There is an opportunity. And so thank you for sharing that. We want to make sure that everyone knows and understands that with that hope, just like Darcy said, there is a way to really find that peace, the way to really find that belief, a way, as she's expressed, within the heart space to bring it in, to take it in. As the Creator has created all things, when He watches you do these types of things, Darcy, what do you feel from your Creator?
There is a sense of peace. There is, I don't know how to describe it. There's not a little hiccup in the feelings of what I'm contemplating on. So if I'm looking at this interview, so was this the right choice for me? And it was all open, it's all warm, it was the right thing to do. And so knowing that, I know that I'm connected. Well, and even if I feel that little hiccup of like, I don't think you should be doing that, then I still know I'm connected because I'm still being guided.
Being guided, I love that. And in that guidance, we are able to just understand so much. You are such a blessing to so many people. I love reading all of these things that are popping up here. Thank you. Beautiful words. Amazing, Darcy. Love you. So true. This is truth. Beautiful. I mean, wow. There's just amazing things that are popping up all over. I mean, they're not stopping. This is fantastic. Somehow you have struck something of truth. And when truth rings out, people are drawn to it because all truth harbors light. And I love to see how even within nature, certain things like as simple as a sunflower, it's going to follow and track that beam of light.
Yeah,
we find so many truths all around us, and what you've conveyed to us tonight is just beautiful. And I'm so grateful, exactly like Daylene, what she says, love you, and I love your words.
She's my sister.
Oh, this is wonderful. This is wonderful. I love the family support here. So, Miss Darcy, before we wrap this up, hold your book up one more time. And I want everybody to know she is in the voting and running for the Author Academy Awards. And what she's trying to do is collect as many votes as possible to move on to a top 10 nomination within her category. So
Yes, please.
what is your category for these
Self-help.
awards? In self-help. So what page number is that?
I want to say it's page 14, but I'm not, I'm almost positive it's page 14.
Okay. So there's 16 pages because we have 16 categories. So she would be on the 14th page, so 14/16, and you would go there and look for the lion book and click on it, and that will give her votes. Please vote for her,
please.
because we have voting that goes all the way up through August the 1st, and then it shuts down. That's it. So these votes are something that, as people are trying to collect, if you think about that, moving on to a next level with a top 10 nomination, those types of accolades can support even more people saying, well, wow, this book must be amazing. It's moved to this next level. I need to get myself this book even more. I hope that tonight you have felt that, what her book can bring you, what Darcy can bring you within coaching, within any of her groups. So Darcy, what is the best way to reach you?
You can reach me by Facebook Messenger. Oh, my daughter-in-law, vote. Facebook Messenger. You can go to my website. There's a contact page that is www.darcykessnerhawkins.com. Thank you, Jackie. And you can contact me there. But I guess Facebook Messenger would be the easiest for those, since we're on that platform.
That's wonderful. Okay. Well, it looks like we've got some people who have been voting for you.
Christina.
And that's fantastic. When we finish this particular interview, at the bottom in the comments, we will put down her website. We'll put down anything that she needs from Messenger, any kind of email support connection, and especially where to vote so that you can cast that vote and help her move on to that top 10 nomination. Darcy, this has been a real pleasure, and I'm so glad that you were willing to jump in here, take the risk, and go for it. Because I remember when I asked you, you were like, huh? And then you went for it. And I think, I think that's like so many of us. When we're finally asked to do something that might feel big, that might feel like, oh my goodness, I don't know. And then we go for it. I think the creator just smiles and those just like a parent does and says, I told you, like, look, this is amazing.
Yep. And that's the thing, is the initial hesitation of, oh no, I'm not ready. That was ego and fear. And so it wasn't, and then instantly it was like, what are you doing?
You've asked for this. Come on, it's right here.
I know.
That's fantastic. All right, everybody, we'll post those links below. And if you have any other things nice to say to Darcy, I love this. You've got some fantastic people, some fantastic support. I love it. You are a bright light for all of us. I love that. We are the light. Wonderful. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Thank you, April, for everything. Welcome. You are such a gracious person and full of love. I really appreciate it.
Just love you guys. All right. We will guys see you later. See ya.
Bye.